I want to bring in Wendy Sherman, who served several high-ranking positions in the Obama State Department and was a key part of that team negotiating with the Iranian government about deterring and slowing down and making available for international inspection its nuclear program. Wendy, I'm very glad you're with us. This feels like a perilous moment in the region and for the United States. Does it to you?
It does to me as well. I think it's a very dangerous moment. I think both Holly and Charlie gave a great summary of what's going on. I think there are a couple of things that we all have to be aware of. What's the end game here? Even if the United States uses what's called the MOP, the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, to try to destroy Fordo, we don't know whether it actually will destroy Fordo and all the enriched uranium that is there. We can't bomb away knowledge. So we may set back Iran's program, but it doesn't mean they won't recreate it and try to do it secretly and underground. We don't know what is really enough for the Prime Minister of Israel, what would be enough for the President of the United States, and whether, in fact, as Charlie pointed out, not only those 40,000 military personnel in the region, but there are American citizens all over the region visiting, touring, probably 200,000 or 300,000 Americans in Israel alone. So there is a lot at stake here. I think it's important the president is putting assets in the region because if he does take action, we better be prepared for retaliation. And that can be terrorist actions, that can be cyber attacks, that can be the use of drones, that can be the remaining missiles that Iran has, and several other things that they may use their proxies to undertake. So there's a lot at stake here, a lot that is unknown, a lot that is very dangerous for the United States, and the entire Muslim world may be up in arms depending upon what we do.
Wendy, I want to read something that just came across about a half an hour ago out of London. It says, Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, put his cabinet on alert for a possible U.S. attack on Iran. British officials said the situation was, quote, grave and volatile when the Prime Minister's team discussed whether the president, meaning President Trump, might seek to strike Iran's nuclear facilities from the joint U.S.-UK airbase at Diego Garcia. Interpret what I just read to you based on your experience with the United Kingdom, diplomacy in general, to our audience.
I would say Prime Minister Starmer is trying to be prepared for any eventuality. It's probably a prudent thing for him to do, but it certainly does add to my nervous making about what might be coming our way. The president, as we know, likes to act on instinct, but when you are going to take this kind of military action, if he does, you can't do it on instinct. You have to be prepared. You have to know what the first, second, third effects are going to be of such action. You have to prepare for all of them. It's just now that the U.S. and Israel is providing perhaps charter jets or ships that can take Americans out of Israel. That kind of planning should have been going on for some time, given that Israel's been under attack for 5 days now. So we are in a very tough place, Major, very tough.
Wendy, how do you evaluate what we know, maybe more importantly, what we don't know actually about Iran's pursuit of a nuclear weapon and its ability to deliver it?
Look, Major, none of us want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. All of us wish Fordo and all the nuclear facilities didn't exist. So I think we're all on the same page. The question is, how do you get to the best outcome? President Obama actually is the one who commissioned and deployed that massive ordnance penetrator because he wanted Iran to know while we were negotiating that if that negotiation failed, he was prepared to take whatever military action would be necessary to ensure that Iran never had a nuclear weapon. The deal that we got really had the most extensive monitoring and verification, didn't allow Iran to enrich uranium above 3.67%, and really constrained its stockpile and many other elements of its program. And it gave us eyes and ears on what was going on and a channel of communications with the Iranians. President Trump decided to leave that deal, and that is why we are where we are today, with President Trump now having to make an incredibly difficult decision, not only for the security of America, but the security of the world.
I'm glad you summarized what was in the nuclear deal negotiated by President Obama, because it may be an off-ramp here. The president has said, and so have his close advisors, that they are open to the prospect of a civilian nuclear program in Iran, provided it does not highly enrich the material, and that can be verified by international inspectors. That sounds very close to what you just summarized, and may, and I underscore that word, may, be an off-ramp.
I hope there is a diplomatic off-ramp. I think one of the errors here, quite frankly, Major, is the president set out a deadline, which he likes to do, and says, let's get a deal in 60 days or we'll see what we do next. You cannot negotiate this technical a deal in 60 days. And the president went back and forth. Would Iran have to dismantle its entire program, or just as you just said, ensure that it had very low levels of enrichment under verification and monitoring? If you want to completely dismantle the program, I don't believe that Iran will ever agree to having no enrichment, because it believes it has that right under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. We don't believe that, but they do. And many of our European countries and allies believe that the NPT gives a country that right for peaceful civil nuclear programming. So given the pride that Iran has, that it's a resistance economy, that it had its revolution in 1979, I think it won't back away from that. But we'll see what they might be willing to do, given how much Israel has degraded and decapitated their military, how they have diminished Hezbollah, Hamas, Syrian militia, and put Iran absolutely in a weaker position.
Wendy Sherman, thanks as always for your time, expertise, and perspective. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Major.